If you listen to a lot of melodic death metal like In Flames, Dark Tranquillity, or Children of Bodom, you probably know who At the Gates is. They're one of the original Gothenburg bands from Sweden that started the melodic death metal movement. And they're back after a 19-year hiatus with a new album, At War with Reality. This is a really important release because their last album, 19 years ago, was Slaughter of the Soul, which is basically considered a classic among the melodic death metal genre, up there with things like The Jester Race and The Gallery by Dark Tranquillity. Um, and so this is quite a bit different than if you've been keeping up with In Flames. This is quite a bit different. This is much more pure melodic death metal, classic sound. It's not turned as soft and radio friendly as something like In Flames, and it doesn't use as deep growls like Dark Tranquillity does. It's got this screaming, fast, yelling, Children of Bodom, Arch Enemy-esque vocal style with really just straight up riffing, very straightforward, not overly like kind of complicated necessarily. I mean, it's definitely fast and complicated in that style, but it doesn't go out of its way to be, progressive or pretentious like some people might see in a band like Opeth or with some other melodic death metal bands. But it is still a great album. The riffing is fantastic, it's very fast, and it's definitely got a lot of those classic elements that a lot of people may have been missing from the new In Flames albums or maybe even the new Dark Tranquillity stuff, which personally I really like that. So um, the problems are pretty few on this album, but one of them would be, to me anyway, the vocalist is not my favorite. He's not bad, per se, and people who listen to this back when Slaughter of the Soul came out, they probably love him for his classic style, but to me, he gets pretty repetitive. His range isn't very high. He reminds me a lot of maybe Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom, but he doesn't actually have that same kind of charm that Alexi has, so it comes off kind of drab after listening to 3 or 4 tracks from this. And it doesn't necessarily, make a song unlistenable at any point, but it gets pretty boring and it kind of adds to the repetitiveness which already exists, with the guitar riffing and stuff. There aren't a whole lot of crazy, differences between songs, so it can get pretty repetitive. And then combine that with the vocals, it gets a little bit tiring after a while, which I guess is good then if the tracks are pretty short. They're generally about 2.5 to I think 4.5 minutes long. They don't go for any epic songs, 5-10 minutes or whatever. That's not on here at all. It's not like that. It's all pretty short and sweet, and it works really well here because it's got this fast feeling. I think the record is maybe 40 minutes almost. I'm not sure on the exact time, but it doesn't go over length or anything. It's just basically straight up fast, heavy, brutal, everything you could want. Especially if you love Slaughter of the Soul, then this is going to be a great album. It's not my favorite when it comes to melodic death metal, but it's definitely one that I think is going to bring them back on the scene, and hopefully I'd like to see a new album from them come out in a couple of years. Hopefully this won't be their last one. So if I had to give this a score, I'd probably go with a 7 out of 10. It gets pretty repetitive after a while, but if you're a fan of this classic melodic death metal style, I don't think that will really deter you in any way. So thanks for listening.